Welcome to submodule 2 of 4 on the value of drilling. In this session, we'll focus on key performance indicators, what they are, why they matter, and how they're applied to well construction. We'll see how KPIs connect operations to business objectives and drive measurable performance improvement. In this submodule, we're going to focus on key performance indicators, or KPIs, and how they shape performance in drilling operations. First, we'll define what KPIs are and look at their role in measuring operational and business outcomes. This sets the foundation for why they are central to drilling optimization. We'll then look at the importance of identifying the right KPIs. A well-chosen KPI aligns the team around clear targets and enables investigation of variances when performance drifts off track. Without them, measurement becomes inconsistent and improvement opportunities are often missed. We'll also cover how to make KPIs SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, result-oriented, or relevant, and time-bound. These criteria ensure KPIs are both realistic and actionable. The concept of a KPI hierarchy will then be introduced, showing how high-level business goals cascade down into operational measures, linking rig activities directly to profitability. Finally, we'll examine KPI phases in well construction, from rig on location through total depth and project completion, and how each phase provides measurable points that contribute toward the ultimate goal. With these objectives in place, let's begin by identifying how KPIs are introduced. Key performance indicators, or KPIs, are only effective when they are well defined and understood across the team. The identification process begins by ensuring that everyone recognizes what a KPI is and why it matters. Without that shared understanding, KPIs risk becoming just numbers on a report rather than drivers of improvement. There is a well-known principle in management: what gets measured gets done. This applies directly to drilling operations. By defining, tracking, and reporting KPIs, we focus team behavior on the activities that matter most. To get started, we follow 7 simple steps. First, ensure the team understands KPIs. Without buy-in, measurement has no impact. Second, determine which indicators are important, focusing only on those that influence performance and safety. Third, we assess which data can be captured consistently and reliably. Fourth, we express the KPI as a formula, ensuring it is objective and comparable. Fifth, we create a dashboard to provide visibility. Sixth, we discuss the results regularly with the team. And seventh, we dig deeper into the data, looking for patterns and opportunities for improvement. This structured approach ensures that KPIs aren't just numbers, they become actionable tools for accountability and performance. With this understanding, the next step is to define exactly what a KPI is in the context of drilling. A key performance indicator, or KPI, is a quantifiable metric used to measure how effectively an organization is meeting its objectives. In drilling, KPIs provide a bridge between day-to-day operations and overall business performance. For example, one common KPI is the number of bit runs in a section. By tracking this, we can measure efficiency in drilling and highlight opportunities to reduce costs and improve penetration rates. Other KPIs might include rate of penetration, casing running time, or non-productive time. The key is that KPIs are not just raw data points, they are aligned to goals and objectives. They allow managers to monitor progress, benchmark performance, and identify where processes must change. Importantly, KPIs should be simple, transparent, and comparable across operations. The definition here reminds us that KPIs turn complex drilling operations into measurable performance indicators. With the definition in place, we can now discuss why it is so important to identify and select the right KPIs. Identifying KPIs is essential because they provide structure and direction for drilling operations. First, they create a predefined process, ensuring that performance is measured consistently across teams and projects. Without KPIs, performance monitoring risks becoming subjective or inconsistent. Second, KPIs establish clear goals and performance requirements. By setting measurable expectations, teams know exactly what they are working toward. For example, a KPI on tripping speed ensures crews are aligned on efficiency without compromising safety. Third, KPIs provide a quantitative or qualitative measure of results against set goals. This allows us to benchmark performance, compare wells, and identify where improvements can be made. Finally, KPIs enable the investigation of variances. When results deviate from the target, managers can examine whether changes in processes, resources, or equipment are needed to achieve short-term goals. In short, identifying KPIs is about moving from assumptions to evidence-based performance management. With the importance clear, let's now discuss how to make KPIs truly effective by applying the SMART criteria. For KPIs to be useful, they must meet the SMART criteria. Let's break this down. First, they must be specific. A vague KPI, like improved drilling performance, is meaningless. A specific KPI would be reduce non-productive time during casing runs by 10%. Second, KPIs must be measurable. This means we can quantify results using data, whether it's hours saved, wells drilled, or safety incidents avoided. Third, they must be achievable. Setting unrealistic targets undermines motivation and credibility. A KPI should stretch performance but remain within practical reach. Fourth, KPIs should be result-oriented or relevant. They must link directly to organizational objectives. For drilling, that could mean tying a KPI to cost per foot drilled, not something unrelated to the operation. Finally, KPIs must be time-bound. Without deadlines, there is no urgency or accountability. Together, SMART criteria ensure that KPIs drive meaningful performance improvement. With this framework in mind, let's look at how KPIs cascade within an organization using the KPI hierarchy. KPIs must always be aligned from the top down, forming a hierarchy that connects strategic goals to operational execution. At the highest level, KPIs measure how the organization is achieving its overall objectives, such as profitability, safety, or sustainability. To support these, KPIs at the operational level must be linked directly to those top-level goals. For example, if profitability is the organizational goal, then unit drilling cost per foot becomes a relevant operational KPI. This means KPIs should overlap above and below in the hierarchy. Senior management tracks financial outcomes, while drilling teams measure operational efficiency and reliability. Both sets of KPIs align so that performance at the rig floor contributes directly to corporate objectives. Operational processes must be broken down into specific KPIs for each group: drilling, completions, logistics, and so on. The takeaway is simple. KPI hierarchies ensure that every operational measure is connected to the ultimate business goal. Next, we'll compare goals directly with KPIs to see how they differ and support each other. This workflow shows clear distinction between goals and KPIs. Goals represent the ultimate purpose of the organization. In oil and gas, that's typically to make profit, achieved safely and sustainably. But a goal alone isn't enough. We need measurable KPIs to demonstrate progress toward it. For example, if the goal is profitability, a KPI might be cost per unit of production or units produced per day. Another KPI could be days of production without additional cost, which directly reflects operational reliability. This workflow shows how goals cascade down through the value chain. Starting with asset acquisition, geology, and reservoir definition, we progress into construction design, drilling and completions, and finally into operations, integrity, and evaluation. At every stage, KPIs measure whether activities are moving us closer to the ultimate goal. The message is simple. Goals provide direction, but KPIs provide the measurement framework that ensures we get there. With this distinction made, let's now look at how KPIs apply specifically to well construction phases. Well construction is a complex process, and KPIs can be structured around its different phases. The first phase is project complete, which ends when the rig is off contract and all wells are producing. This KPI measures overall project delivery efficiency. The second phase is well complete, which ends when the rig skids off location. This KPI provides insight into single well performance, independent of the broader project. The third phase is dry hole duration, which ends when the final casing or liner is set and tested. This phase is important even if the well does not produce, because it reflects execution efficiency and design effectiveness. By assigning KPIs to each of these phases, we can capture performance data throughout the life of the project. This breakdown allows managers to compare wells consistently, learn from variations, and improve future performance. Next, we'll look at additional construction phases where KPIs can be applied, including drilling to total depth and case section evaluation. Continuing with the theme of well construction KPI phases. The first is total depth, which ends only when the final BHA is racked back. This KPI provides a clear measure of drilling efficiency all the way to the planned TD. Next, we have cased section, which ends only when casing is set and tested. In some cases, this includes a successful formation integrity test FIT or leak-off test LOT. If no test is performed, the KPI rolls forward to the next formation drilled. This ensures casing performance is tied directly to verifiable results. The third phase is drilled hole, which ends when the BHA is racked back. This KPI helps assess bit performance, rate of penetration, and drilling efficiency in open hole. Finally, rig on location is another important KPI phase. It ends when the rig is fully capable of spudding or starting drilling operations. This phase captures mobilization efficiency and readiness. Each of these phases adds granularity to KPI tracking, helping to isolate strengths and weaknesses in well construction performance. On the next slide, we'll examine how these phases affect the overall KPI framework. One important point to understand is how KPIs evolve as we move through the different phases of well construction. A KPI that defines the overall well to total depth naturally incorporates the KPIs from all earlier phases. For example, when measuring performance to TD, we must include KPIs for rig mobilization, drilled hole sections, casing runs, and completions. At the same time, new KPIs become relevant in later phases. For instance, the final drilled hole section introduces additional indicators such as bit performance, tripping speed, or fluid efficiency. This layering effect means KPI frameworks must be flexible and cumulative. The concept is that later phase KPIs don't replace earlier ones. They build on them. Each new measure adds resolution to the performance picture. The takeaway is that KPI management is dynamic, not static. By recognizing how KPIs evolve across phases, we ensure that the measurement framework reflects the full complexity of well construction. With this in mind, let's look at how all KPIs ultimately converge on a single goal. All KPIs, no matter how detailed or specific, must ultimately align with a single overarching goal. At the top of this hierarchy sits the project objective: safe, efficient, and profitable delivery of the asset. The slide illustrates this alignment by showing phase objectives, such as drilling efficiency or casing integrity, feeding into broader well objectives like safe delivery of a producing well. These then roll up into project objectives, such as completing a multi-well campaign on time and within budget. Finally, all of these support the overall goal, which is sustainable profitability and value creation. This hierarchy ensures that no KPI exists in isolation. Every operational measure, whether rate of penetration, rig uptime, or non-productive time, contributes to higher level objectives. It also provides clarity. When a KPI is not directly supporting the goal, it should be questioned or redefined. The message here is KPIs are not just numbers, they are aligned pathways toward the success of the project and the business. Let's now review the objectives we set out at the start of this sub-module. As we close this sub-module, let's revisit the objectives and confirm how we've addressed them. First, we set out to understand key performance indicators in drilling operations. We defined KPIs as quantifiable metrics that measure progress toward goals and provided drilling-specific examples. Second, we wanted to recognize the importance of KPI identification and measurement. We saw how KPIs provide a predefined process, create accountability, and allow investigation of performance variances. Third, we examined how to apply SMART principles to ensure KPIs are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This framework ensures KPIs are actionable and effective. Fourth, we discussed KPI hierarchy, showing how measures cascade from corporate goals to operational performance on the rig floor. Finally, we learned to identify well construction KPI phases from rig mobilization through total depth and project completion, and saw how these phases affect KPI frameworks. Together, these objectives have given us a structured approach to building and applying KPIs that align drilling operations directly with business outcomes. This concludes submodule 2 of 4 on the value of drilling, KPIs. Please proceed to the quiz to test your understanding of the concepts we've covered. Thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to building on these ideas in the next session.